Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and it is no Rhett today because it is Thursday, December 18th. So we're exactly 7 days away from Christmas here in the States, and then 14 days away from New Year's Day here in the States. So that's pretty neat. Um, so we are up and running, localhost 4200, and we have our application running. It is what, 50 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so that is 18 degrees Fahrenheit above freezing. So that's, I think, probably around 7, maybe 8 degrees Celsius, which is pretty nice. It was rained all night though. It's super wet outside, so I didn't take the dogs but out on their daily walk this morning, but because it's just very, very muddy outside. But my daughter-in-law should be bringing her dogs by, so they'll play and get their energy out that way. So we are trying to get a better feel for this application. So the application had a bunch of sort of mysterious information and stuff going on, and it was very difficult to make sense of. So I added this console log. So when you add a viz, you get like these. And then alternatively, if you delete a visualization, we'll just clear this out and see we still get stuff. Um, some of them have been deleted because they were like in a row, but some of them have not. So that is one thing that needs to get fixed. Another thing that needs to get fixed is when we changed views, we ended up adding another animation. So that is also something that is an issue. Um, and then, see, it's kind of interesting up here. It shows that the eighth one is viz component, but it has since been deleted. So that's a good thing. Um, Another issue is like for this material, we don't really want to have uh, an actual reference to the material itself. And I have, mentioned that it's a perfect example of like when someone says memory leak, this is typically what they're talking about. They're talking about like something that doesn't exist anymore, but it's still in memory and the reason this is just an epidemic in JavaScript is because it's just so easy to create references and forget that you have them. So here I am with this issue. Now you notice that this ThreeJS material has a name feature, a name attribute, and it's set to nothing. I would love to get that also. That's one of the things I want to get in these is ability to name them. Just because trying to deal with like composing visualizations together and parts of attributes of visualizations will probably be a lot easier if they have names, and I could see the names. But what we are working right now is see how this type has an ST renderer, so we know it's a renderer. Um, it is kind of obvious what it is because the next visualization, the ID is there, but like when we're looking at it in this view, it's not necessarily obvious because we do have a renderer ID, but we also have a scene ID and we have a camera ID. So this renderer has a scene and a camera. Um, and the scene still exists, but the camera does not exist anymore. Um, so um, so I started adding these types so that we could see it. So that's the first step, and that's what I'm actively working on. It's been pretty easy to do so far. Um, I think it might end up breaking some unit tests. I don't know. I just don't know if it's worth. Like, it's easy to do a search afterwards and figure out where it is, but it's also easy enough to run the unit tests and see what breaks and all that. But anyway, so it looks like scene would be a good one to do next, right? So our scene does not have a type. So, and I still have 15 minutes, 20 minutes before work, 15 minutes before I need to sign off. So, um, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to this. So we are in our interfaces, our three interfaces in camera. So I can close this, close it, not go to it, click on this, and here I am. So we decided we wanted to do scene next. So st scene, all we do is add a type to it, and we say that this type must be equal to the word st. I can't remember if we, let's go look at camera. I can't remember if we do caps or, nope, we do lowercase. We actually had a pretty fun time um, at my job, sort of going like nailing down the difference between camel case and Pascal case, which neither of these are, but these here, this ST scene is camel case. But if it was ST scene like that, then it would be Pascal case. Um, I always remember it because someone, I don't know where I heard this or read this, but someone once said you can remember the difference between camel case and Pascal case because you can imagine a camel. So this would be a two-humped camel, and he's down drinking water. So if he wasn't drinking water, his head would be up. But since he's down drinking water, this is his head, and this is his first hump, and this is his second hump. And for some reason, that visualization just sticks for me, and I can always remember the difference between camel case and Pascal case because of that. So now the transpiler helps us. So I can hold the control button down and click on this, and it tells me that there's a problem right here. We name this type, colon, and then we don't even have to remember what it was because the IDE just offers it up. Let's see, I think that's probably it. Yeah, so we're good. So let's just go ahead and close this one, close our camera, click on this, and I guess we could tell because they're all yellow that they're type. I believe we also have a visualization in there, but let's go ahead and take care of geometry and material first. So looks like we used to import from 3, but doesn't look like we need that anymore. So I'm going to delete that. Typically, since I'm making a change in this file, even if I was working in a group setting, I would probably delete that. But and but maybe not, because that could be like very strange looking if like let's say somebody else needed that and you deleted it and they were working on it in a different branch, like you actively deleted it, they wouldn't have actively added it because it was there, and they could look pretty weird. It just depends on how much you and your team trust each other. Um, I've worked in plenty of places where like the teams were like on other sides of the globe, and there was just a natural distrust between everybody. So, like that, you really don't want to do that because it would be very easy to convince someone who doesn't really understand what's going on that you purposely are sabotaging the code by removing things. Because, but if you're with like on a team where everybody really trusts each other, and let's say you remove that and then somebody added something that needed that, then you can just be like, oh yeah, I removed that because I didn't need it, sorry about that, and they'll be like, oh, okay, no big deal, I'll just add it back in, right? It's that simple. Now it could be weird because if you're trying to fold both branches in together at the same time, you could get a git conflict or something like that. So but if you, like I said, if you trust each other, you guys will be able to work through it. If you are in a sort of a less, like some places think that it's a good idea to have like their developers competitive with each other. Like they think, oh, if the developers compete with each other, they'll be more productive. And normally, most developers are pretty good at gaming. So they have a pretty good understanding that you can if you're in a competitive situation, many times um, you're better off. I mean, you can effectively get ahead of the people you're competing against by preventing them from succeeding, which is just a terrible way and probably never going to work in a software development system. Um, it's a terrible way to be, and code is already really, really complex, so it's going to be very difficult to succeed if that is the sort of the culture of the organization. Um, but places do get away with it. I mean, there are places that do that. It is not like super unusual. Um, I once interviewed for a place, and they said they were very competitive, and what they would do is they would have like bonus structures. So they would hire. It was a lot of money. It would be like they would hire people for like a base salary, like 140K a year, and then you could make up to 250K a year, and they would set aside like $2 million of bonus money, and they would say we're going to roll it out. The bonus money, there wasn't enough for everybody to make 250 a year, so you could get 100 up to $110,000 of bonus money, but you would have to get it at the expense of other developers. And I didn't get the job. It was kind of funny because um, they said um, that I was too stupid to work there. They were like, sorry, while you would be a very productive and valuable member of the team, you'd be absolutely miserable here because everybody else's IQs are like significantly higher than yours. So we're just trying to do you a solid. And not shortly after that, I did get a job at a place where literally everybody was a super genius. They were all super geniuses, and it was so hard to work there because like they would be like, "Oh yeah, no, to do that, just use your XYZ login, and then you have to add like the Fibonacci today's day of the week, the Fibonacci sequence that corresponds to that, and then your other password that you have for this other thing, and then the day of the year that it is." Um, and it would just be like, oh my God, like all of them, they could just snap all that out. They were just all like, they knew like all the values, all the indexes of pi up to like 1,000 spaces. So they would quite often be like, oh, like the 758th index of pi is where we're going. And for them, that was very, very stimulating, but it was really hard for me. And the thing was that like um, a lot, they tried to build software and no one could understand it. Like nobody could use their software. Their software was completely unusable by regular people. So it looks like we have everything in this three done. I think we still need to do visualizations, but I do want to make sure of that before I try it. But okay, so we have this. This animation does not have a type. Yeah, this visualization does not have a type. And this one is going to be a little different because, um, and I don't even think this one needs a type because you can kind of tell what it is. So it looks like animation and visualization are the only two. I think I'm going to leave this as is. I don't know. Now, so I think I can add a type to this by literally, here, let's just do that. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. And this is a good way for me to sort of make sure I kind of understand. I believe I can get a type on that by just creating a type in this viz component. So this is the component. This is this thing right here. And I believe what I can do is I can just say type equals. I'm so tempted to say the name of the guys that said that I was too dumb to work there, but it was like the only reason I can write. He just has such a memorable name, um, and um, and he was he was genuinely like he did a terrible thing. That was a really cruel thing to say, but he was coming from a good place. Like he wasn't trying to. He was trying to do the right thing, um, and I think that does matter. You know, like what someone's intentions were matters too, not just. All right, so now let's go look at this Viz component. I think if I open this up, no. Okay, so this is not what I thought it was. It's kind of interesting. It has a service and everything. Okay, so apparently I have this manual placement. So let's see. So it was not what I thought because I would have expected to see this there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for that string manual placement. So that's this right here. Where is this? Oh, okay, so it's kind of interesting. Okay, so yeah, I didn't. That is weird. Okay, so now I'm trying to kind of get this right in my head. So I have an interface that describes a visualization. And it used to apparently, based on this up here, used to actually have, okay, yeah, and this was what it had. So that is good to be straightened out in my head. Type st. And so that was like sort of a deep misunderstanding, right? Like I had a deep misunderstanding of how things fit together, and that is common. That is so common. You have this. If you're a coder, you have that issue. And most coders are not aware that they have that issue. And not being aware of it is just an absolute killer. So this is a perfect example where I'm not even sure exactly where this is being used. So let me, apparently it's a variable that I set in a function call, in a file called visual st service. And we create these things right here in our visualization service. And that makes sense now that I think about it, because um, the reason it makes sense is because, yeah, I needed a way to say where like, I don't have it implemented yet, but I needed a way to say where this thing is going to sit. You know, I want to be able to drag them around. And, you know, the component itself shouldn't even know anything about that. So that totally makes sense. So I have like a minute left. So okay, so this is Viz component though. Oh, so I think I looked at the wrong one. So maybe I was right too in that. Viz, no, it's Viz component. I probably only need this so that like if I'm um semicolon. Okay, what is the problem here? Oh, silly rabbit, you need an equals. All right, so now let's see. Yeah, see, this doesn't have manual placement or anything like that. Um, add 12. I want to see it in here. Type Viz component. So it doesn't show up at the top like all the rest of them. And it is kind of awesome. I mean, obvious, but so now this is ST animation ID. So we can search on that, or we can try to look. Because this is an ST. I'm in the wrong animation. There we go. Mm, Then up here. And then type colon st animation comma save. Things should break. Hit that. And it is kind of one of the sad things of software development is that um, just as you get good at things, you're done. I think because I think this is the last one. Take 12. Everyone's got to type now, so that's good. So tomorrow, I'm going to work on. I believe it was an ST mesh. Yeah, we need to get rid of. We need to turn this into like a little system with where I have an ID and I can ask the three mesh service for the given um, mesh ID, ST mesh ID, what the mesh is. So I don't even think I just need, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that's, and then whatever is using this will, I don't even think anything is using that, but, and then, so there, I think we have that issue in there. And believe we have the same issue in material. So that's the next round. But I guess tomorrow I'll do run unit tests and run end-to-end tests, make sure nothing's broken. We might need to add a couple unit tests or fix a couple unit tests. I don't know. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.